فاعلم أنه لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. So inshallah, all the brothers memorized their list of words from last dars, and if you didn't benefit, but inshallah if you did, then I hope that that's going to be a regular thing that everybody does. Before we get into a list of words or the ayat that you're supposed to do, I want to go over some general things first. When we talk about nahu, the first thing we need to discuss in grammar is what is speech. Like in English, we call speech anything you really talk about. Anything you say becomes speech. But in Arabic, it's called kalam. Yep. Al-kalam. What is kalam? Right? In Aqidah, everything has its own istalah. Right? In Aqidah, what is kalam? When we talk about Ahlul Kalam, we talk about the people of philosophy or the people who used Greek philosophy to try to interpret the sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and how Ibn Qudama wrote Dam al-Kalam, yani the forbiddance of using. But in Nahu, kalam just means speech. But what is speech? What do you consider speech? So in Ajrumiyya we begin with saying al-kalam huwa lafdhun. Al-lafdhu al-murakkib. Now, so far, what does that mean? Al-kalam, speech, and there's more to it. We're just going, okay? Huwa, it is a lafz, that which is pronounced, right? So, for example, if you were to say, "Can I come in?" and I just make an ishara, I just point towards "Come on in," is that considered speech? Not according to the definition of Arabic language, Arabic nahu. I mean, there is a technical definition to what we consider speech. The first thing is that it's what is pronounced. It's verbalized. There's an audible noise that's made for it. The second thing, it's murakkib. Yani, it is something it is put together for more than one word. Right? If I just came up to Ramis and said, "Huwa," what is that? Yeah, is that kalam? It's a word. I said it out loud, but it's just one word. Huwa. It doesn't really have any meaning as far as being considered speech. So in Arabic, it has to be love. It has to be pronounced. It has to be words. It has to be murakkab, and it has to be al-mufid. Mufidu yani it has to be beneficial. Right? What does that mean? The house. Right? The house what? If I just came up to and said, as-sama, the sky. The sama what? That's not really considered speech until something is pronounced, it's put together of more than one word, it has to be put together more than a conjunction, it is beneficial, and it is بالوضع. يعني it has to be something واضح. Wadih means something بالوضح has to be clarified. A lot of ulama said that means it has to be in Arabic. Why? Because we're discussing the nahu of Arabic language. So when we're discussing Arabic grammar, it has to be in Arabic. If you throw in other words to mix in with it, or if you don't make it clear. One of my teachers explained something very beautiful about بالوضح. يعني not just باللغة العربية. Obviously we're studying Arabic Nahu. But this also shows that the i'rab of it have to be clear. Meaning the Arabic language has a beautiful method of showing grammar. And we call it i'rab, showing the last haraka on a word. For example, this is something inshallah all of you are going to memorize. الكلام هو اللفظ مركب المفيد بالوضع. طيب? This is the first line from Ajrumiyah. So, what does it tell you? That kalam, speech, in accordance to the rules of Nahu, has to be pronounced out loud. It has to be with more than one word put together. It has to be beneficial, and it has to be clear in accordance to the rules of the Arabic language. So, now, you noticed I highlighted something. It said al-kalamu, right? Now, why isn't it al-kalami or al-kalama? And what difference would that make in the Arabic language? This is the essence of all of Nahu, is the i'rab or the tashkil that we put on the last letter of a word. Whether it's marfu', mansub, majroor. Inshallah, we'll get into all these words later. But right now, if I was to ask you, what is kalam in the Arabic language? According to the scholars of Nahu, it is a love. Yeah, it has to be put out, pronounced. It has to be articulated. It has to be something you can recite. Murakkab. It has to be put together from more than one. It has to be compound. Mufid. It has to be beneficial. If I'm saying something to you, for it to be considered kalam, speech, according to Nahu, it has to benefit you. If I tell you that Abdurrahim Rajul huwa salih, I'm telling you that Abdurrahim, he's a man who's pious. Now there is a benefit to me saying that. If I just told you Abdurrahim, Bayt, Sama, Ard, it's a lot of words, but I'm not really benefiting you. Like, what are you talking about? And if I don't clarify what I'm saying in accordance to the rules of the Arabic language, if I start speaking to you half in Arabic and half in French, as brothers from North Africa do, so then according to the scholars of Nahu, that's not considered kalam. Kalam has to be bil wad', yani in the clear Arabic sense of being used with i'rab. Now, and somebody may be speaking with Arabic words, but if they are not making sense in accordance to the rules of the Arabic language, that's not considered kalam. You could just be throwing words together. Tayyib. So, when we talk about kalam, aqsamahu, then you have to say the its parts are three, right? Three things make up kalam or speech in the Arabic language. Tayyib? Ism, fi'l, and harf. These three things, these three components make up all speech in the Arabic language. Okay? What are they? Ism, which would mean name. You could translate that to noun. But there is a little difference in the Arabic language understanding of asma and the English understanding of nouns. So I'm going to give it a very literal translation, which we would call verbs. Harf, it's a letter, just letters. They are particulates, they're not complete. So, but they have meanings, and we'll discuss that inshallah with huruf al-jar and inna wa ikhwatiha and things like that coming up inshallah. But I want you to understand this basic concept first. So if I said Uthman, what would that be? I want you to tell me in Arabic, all right? Don't say noun or English. I'm not going to be translating into English grammar words because I hate it when people do that, especially because English grammar and Arabic grammar don't always mix. Yes?
It's an ism.
It's an ism. Okay? Tayyib. If I said, and I don't know why in Arabic we always use these kinds of daraba. What does daraba mean?
He hit.
Hit. Excellent. What would that be? A fi'l. طيب. If I said لا,
Means no.
it means no. And what would that be? A harf. Is it an action? Is it ism? No. So it's a harf.
What's أقسامه mean?
It's sections, or it's aqsam. It's made up of three things.
Hassan?
Aqsam.
Qasam?
Yeah.
Hassan?
Now you look at three subsections that make up all of the Arabic language. So if you take any ayah from the Quran, or you take any hadith, or you take any Arabic language book, you can make a distinction between every aspect of it and understand whether it's an ism, fi'l, or harf. And everything has to fall within these three. Right? Now, there could be fi'l naqis, and you could get into asma al-khamsa and all these kind of subsections, but these three make up all speech in Arabic language. Tayyib? Everybody got this?
Can they erase it? No, I don't have to.
Good thing it's being recorded then. Now, when we look at your ayat that you were supposed to do, tell you, this is one of the ayat that you had as a part of your homework, right? Right? Tell you. And since all of you did your homework, any one of you could tell me what this ayah means, inshallah. Right? Right?
Yes.
What does ja'ala mean?
To make.
To make. Okay. Now, what is it? Is it an ism? Is it a fi'l or a harf?
Very.
Fair.
Fi'l?
Yeah.
Excellent.
An action.
Madin, we'll discuss that later. We're not at that yet, but this is a fi'l. Tayyib. Now, when you have an action, in the Arabic language, you have to have an actor. If you have a fi'l, you must have a fa'il. Tayyib? What is a fa'il?
The actor.
The actor, the one who does that action. Tayyib. So, ja'ala, made, this is an action. Now, the ism dhul jalala, the loves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the ism of dhul jalala, this is an ism.
A name.
And this will be your fa'il. We'll discuss what that means later. So Allah made Al-Kaaba. What is Al-Kaaba?
The house of
The house of Allah.
Alright, the holy Kaaba, right? And everybody knows what that means, right? Tayyib? Al-Bayt. What does that mean?
The house.
The house. Al-Haram. What does that mean? Somebody other than Musa.
Forbidden.
Forbidden or sacred, right? Now, why is sacred called forbidden in Arabic? Because certain things that you could do somewhere else are forbidden there because of it being so holy. For example, regularly you can hunt, but inside the hudud of the haram you can't hunt because it's a holy place. You can't spill blood there. And that's why Muslims should never fight or argue or get into these kinds of things when you're in the Kaaba. And those of us going for Hajj, may Allah make it all of us understand that. So this is Bayt al-Haram. Yani it is considered a sacred, a holy house that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made holy for the Muslims. They've made it sacred. And that's why even when you go there for the Hajj or the Umrah, you wear what's called the Ihram. Right? You're in a state of Ihram. You're wearing the rida and the izar regularly. You can wear any colors you want. You can wear any kind of clothing you want as long as it's halal. Some colors are forbidden for men, obviously. But in essence, those things that are mubah, that are allowed, that are permissible outside, when you're in the state of ihram, they become haram on you. You can't cut your nails. You can't do many other things. You can't cut your hair. So that's why ihram. So the Kaaba, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the Kaaba a sacred house. Right? Now again, like I said, I'm not getting into tafsir or depth. Here we're just trying to get the basic gist of the meaning of an ayah. If you really want to get the depth of the Quran, sit with ulama, pick up the book of tafsir and learn from them. But for the average Muslim to be able to understand enough that when you're standing and making salah behind the imam, you're getting the gist and the understanding of the Quran. When you pick up the Quran and you're reading in Ramadan or other than Ramadan, you want to benefit from the gist of the ayah. This is where we're trying to get you to. And then after that, inshallah, always go back and turn back to the ulama, to the scholars, to tullab al-ilm, the students of knowledge, and benefit from them in understanding the Quran, understanding the Arabic language. But inshallah, from this, was everybody able to easily understand this?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Now, you will notice something, and even though I'm not going to get into it today, I just want you to take a note of it. Do you notice what is at the end here? Al-Dhamma, right? On here, what do you notice?
Oh, it's a fatha.
And here?
Fatha. Fatha.
Tayyib. Now, for example, if I was to write, some of the advanced students don't answer this. Right? No, waw can come with different ways, but let's say it's qasam. Right? Waw al-qasam. Wallah. Would it be he? Yes, Abdurrahman. He. Excellent. Good job. Right? Now you notice here it's Allahu. And here it's Allahi. Wallahi. Right? Understand that difference. Just notice it for now. And inshallah, as the durus go, you will know why, and you will be able to understand a lot of depth of the Arabic language because of it, inshallah ta'ala. Tayyib. Another ayah that was assigned to you guys. Inshallah, you all did your homework, so you all got it.
Does that say Muhammad?
Yes.
Does that say Muhammad Rasulullah?
Yes. Tayyib. Now, the word Muhammad, we discussed this in the last dars. You all know it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Tayyib. Rasul. What does Rasul mean? Tayyib. What's the difference between the word Rasul and the word Nabi?
A Nabi is somebody is a prophet. A Nabi is a prophet, and a Rasul is a messenger. Or is the other way around?
Excellent. So a Nabi Nabi means a messenger. No. And Rasul means discussion of the ulama about the difference between Anbiya and Rasul and stuff. But in essence, everybody who was chosen to be a Nabi, to be a prophet, were prophets. But only those that were given actual laws or books or suhuf were called Rasul. And this is a long discussion, but we'll leave it at that for now to make it simple. Tayyib. And the Ism Dhul Jalala, the Ism Allah here is Mudaf Ilay, and that's why it's Majroor for those that are advanced. What does this tell you? What does this ayah tell you? Anybody from the new students? No, not you. Go ahead, Habib. Muhammad Rasulullah. What does it mean? Muhammad?
I know.
Messenger of Allah. Excellent. You see how simple that is? And this is from the Quran, that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is the messenger of Allah. So now, for those of you who memorized the words in the last dars, you could have taken this apart yourself and understood this ayah without any help. Tayyib.
Ooh, I know what that means.
Till I ask? Be quiet. Ji. طيب هذا حلال وهذا حرام. This is again from the ayat that you were given from your homework, and inshallah we discussed the word halal, right? What did halal mean? Permissible. And we discussed haram. What did it mean? Forbidden. So هذا means this, right? هذا tilka. We'll discuss the differences as we advance. And again, we're in beginning levels. So this is permissible, and this is forbidden. So these ayat, once you understood that little vocab, inshallah, easily you'll be able to take apart all these ayat. Now, did anybody have difficulty with any of the ayat? Go ahead. Which ayah?
فأخذهم طوفان وهم ظالمون.
Excellent. Let's do that ayah. طيب.
Is that a fact?
Yeah.
This?
No. Yeah, is that a fact?
Yes.
Okay.
It's got a circle with a dot.
I was just wondering.
You didn't know what a fa looks like? Oh, we're gonna have to deal with more in this dars than I thought. طيب. Fa here this is the letter fa, just so you can know. Alright? This is gonna be to connect, so we're leaving this right now. Akhada, to take. Right? Hum means them. Right? Now, this is for the advanced students. This is what? Fi'l madin. If you were to put al-fi'l, you could put al-madi. But if you don't have the al, then it just becomes fi'l madin. طيب. أخذ, took them. At-tufan. What did we discuss at-tufan to be?
Floods.
Storm, flood. طيب. So tufan we went over already, right?
Yes.
In the last dars. So here now we're just going to put together some of the other things. Wa, we'll leave it, and hum. What does hum mean? And that's why you have to differentiate in the Arabic language. Unlike in English, we say darkness or blackness. But in Arabic, when you're talking about skin color or a person, there's a different word. But dhalama is like a oppression, not darkness. Like, oh, that you can't say that guy was dark and say he was dhalama. No, you have to say dhalama like oppression, evil, right? Dhalama can mean darkness, like the darkness of the night, where you're scared, where you're afraid, and it can also mean oppression, like when you're being oppressive. So we discussed in the last lesson how to take a 3-letter verb, dhalama, and to turn it into an ism fa'il, right? How to turn into somebody who does that. So if we take this as the root word to mean the action of oppressing, somebody who is an oppressor, how would you turn this into an oppressor? You would add an alif and make it kasra. So you would make it zalim. Zalimun, yani somebody who is an oppressor. Now, in the Arabic language, when you want to make something jama', one, right? Then you can make it in different ways. One is called muthanna, when you want to make it two, the dual sense. In English, we don't have a dual sense. We basically have singular and plural. But in Arabic, you have singular, and then you have dual, and then plural. Plural, you would make it in 3 different types. There is jam'a mudhakkar salim, and then mu'annath salim, and then at-taksir. Now, we'll get into all these different types later. Right now, we will just look at what type this is. From zalim, we added the waw and the noon, right? And that made it zalimun. Zalimun means that they were oppressors. Now this is called mudhakkar salim, in the male whole or proper way of making a jama'. So when you take a man who's, let's say, for Muslim, if we're talking about a bunch of men, you will call them muslimun, right? Now if the i'rab changes and it becomes majroor, we'll discuss this later, then it could be muslimin, but the essence is to make it muslimun. Tayyib? But if you have a muslima, a female, then it doesn't become muslimun. If you talk about a bunch of women, it becomes muslimat. You add the alif and ta in the end. And if you have jam'a taksir, the irregular jam'a, then you could say kafir to kuffar, or qalam to aqlam, which is the irregular way. Inshallah, we'll discuss all 3 of these and how they work and how they change i'rab, but for here, this is the way to understand. So, the ayah. So, the tufan, the storm, took them while they were, what? They were oppressors. They were zalimun. Now, we see shirk is dhulm. It's an oppression. Tayyib. So now, everybody good with the rest of the ayat? You all translated all of them, inshallah, memorized all the words? Yes. Excellent. I'm glad you did. Let's go over the new words, inshallah. Very quickly. Tayyib, we discussed kalam already, right? Should we go over it again? Tayyib. I'll get myself in trouble with this one, but... Al-Mujahid, right? What does it mean, Al-Mujahid?
One who struggles.
The one who struggles. Excellent. I'm glad you didn't say holy warrior, because that's incorrect. the word mujahid and the word jihad. They're both on your terms here, and I'll just go over them together. They all come from the root word of jahada. And I wrote them separately so to kind of understand something. Now, even though the root word is there, but directly out of it, you have to understand, sometimes root words change and then we take asma out of them. But all of this comes back to meaning to struggle, to strive, to have in what we would consider a righteous struggle. So, if somebody is, for example, out seeking knowledge, they're seeking Islamic knowledge. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has told us that they are fi sabilillah, they are in the path of Allah until they return. Right? So what does that mean? That jihad, unlike what Fox News or anybody else may have told you, it doesn't really mean holy war. That we could say harb. And in the Arabic language for war, the word for war is harb. You could say harb al-muqaddas, so you could say a holy war. But the word jihad actually means to make a righteous struggle. It could be through defending your land or defending yourself, or it could be through gaining knowledge, or it could be through helping poor and needy people, in all of those ways. So jihad is that struggle, that righteous striving, and mujahid is the one who does it. Go ahead.
So the difference between jihad is struggle, and the mujahid is the fa'il.
Is the fa'il, yes.
The one who does it.
When you get more than a thulathi, when you have more than a 3-letter root word, then the way you make it an ism fa'il, you actually put a dhamma with a meme in the front. We'll discuss that inshallah when we get into awzan. Like Muslim or Musalli or Mujahid, then you don't use the regular, what we do with the thulathi by adding the alif and the kasra. Tayyib, al-kalam could mean speech. Tayyib, al-hajj. What does al-hajj? And then ja would mean to overcome, right? To overcome some hardship. And why do we call hajj to Mecca hajj? Because you overcome a lot of the hardships on the way. I know nowadays you guys flying in your business class flights and staying in the Hilton and the 5 stars, you're not really overcoming a lot. But, in the old days, it was very difficult to go for hajj. If you talk to some of the Muslims, mashallah, from back in the days who've been Muslim for a long time, or your grandparents or your relatives, and you find out when people used to go to hajj, they used to pretty much not to expect to come back, because there were bandits and robbers, and you would go by foot and by camel, and you would go through deserts, and there would be disease and famine and wars. And if you came back, it was a big deal, and they would call you, like in Egypt, and they would call you al-hajj, because you were such a big deal that you went for hajj. Another, you would call him haji Sam, because this guy made it back from hajj. But nowadays, people are like, I got 8 days, I'll be back. But it would be to overcome. But hajj, you can put pilgrimage or to overcome. Jihad, a struggle or an effort. Jawab, what does jawab mean? Answer. Excellent. Kalam, speech. We discussed the technical meaning of kalam in nahu to kind of improve your nahu. Mujahid, the one who performs that striving or struggling. Muhajir, what does muhajir mean? An immigrant, somebody who goes on a migration. For somebody who performs a migration is called a muhajir. Tayyib. What about Rasul and Nabi? We discussed both of those already. Right? Right? Tayyib. A munafiq. A hypocrite. Somebody whose outside doesn't match their inside. So, a munafiq, in the technical terminology, would be somebody who claims to be a Muslim, but in their heart they're not. In their heart, they are people who don't really believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are pretending to be Muslim for some either harm to the Muslims, or for some financial benefit, or for some other kind of pressure, but in their hearts, they're not really Muslim. Now, there is a difference between having some sifat or some qualities of a munafiq and being a munafiq completely. as we know, the Prophet ﷺ told us the munafiq will be in the worst part of Jahannam, worse than even the regular kuffar. May Allah protect us from that. You know, because they are the ones who professed something, but in their hearts they had something else to harm the believers. Now, amal, ayn, mim, lam. What does amal mean?
Action.
An action. So the one who does it is a amil. So that's why many times a worker, some in countries is called an amil. طيب? Adl. Al-adl. Justice, fairness. طيب. Al-la'na. Curse. Ubayd al-Rahman, he put together words that a lot of us know in other languages already to make it very easy for us.
What's al-la'na again?
Al-la'na, curse. When you say la'natullah alayhi, the curse of Allah be upon them, or upon him. Shaitan. Tayyib, al-qamar.
Moon.
Moon.
Excellent. Man, you guys, your homework's going to be so easy. Al-qamar means what?
Moon.
Moon. Tayyib. Al-arsh.
Chair.
Throne.
Throne. What's the difference between kursi and arsh?
Chair.
Throne is,
Kursi is chair,
and arsh is throne.
a throne. Excellent. Tayyib. Nadama. Excellent. Who said that? Good job, mashallah, man. And nadama is regret. When you feel regret for something you did. So, Tayyib. Al-masjid.
A masjid.
Place of worship.
Tayyib. It is a place of ibadah, of prayer, and it comes from sajada, to make sujood, to prostrate. So a masjid is a place we come together and we pray, we make sujood. So that's why it's called a masjid. We talked about making things plural, making things more, right? So if masjid is one, what's many?
Masajid.
Masajid. Right? Now, for those of you who are either advanced or really fast at catching what I said, what type of jama is that? Is it mudhakkar salim, muannath salim, or is it jama taksir? Jama taksir. Because it doesn't have the waw noon or the alif ta. I know you already knew it. Alright.
I didn't know that.
Yes, you did. Tayyib. Al-yatim.
Is there only Jama Taksir for masjid?
No.
You say
Oh, what do you mean?
Masjidun?
You cannot say masjidun.
So it's only Jama Taksir.
Only jama taksir. طيب. Yatimu. What is yatim?
The poor.
Orphan. Right? Yatim actually means orphan, not poor, but طيب. Ibra.
What does that mean?
Anybody? Other than Abdul Rahman?
Life lessons.
Ibra, a moral, a lesson, something you're supposed to learn, getting a lesson out of it, right? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He showed Fir'aun to be an ibra, to be a lesson for people in the future to come and look at and learn a lesson from. Tayyib. Al-ibn.
The sun.
Yes, excellent. Tayyib, al-mizan,
A scale.
scale, excellent. The mizan on the Day of Judgment. Musiba.
A trial, calamity.
Musiba, a trial, a calamity, a hardship. Excellent. Izza,
Honor,
honor. Excellent. Adhilla,
humiliation,
disgrace, humiliation. Excellent. Rizq,
sustenance,
sustenance. And rizq in Sharia doesn't necessarily only mean food. Your wife, your husband is a rizq that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, may Allah bless it for you. طيب. Maghfirah, forgiveness. Excellent. Maghfirah. Al-Mashriq, the east. Al-Maghrib.
West.
West.
Now, I won't get into root words too much now. We'll just keep going now. At-Tulu',
to rise,
rising.
Rising.
Like when you talk about Tulu' Shams, the rising of the sun. Ghurub,
setting,
setting. Ghurub Shams. طيب. As-Safr, Safar,
to
travel. Travel.
What was it with the Sa'd or Sin?
Seen. As-Safr. Al-Aya, is signs. Excellent. We call them ayat of Quran, like the verses of the Quran, but ayah also means signs, signs that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us to recognize Him, to see the miracle of the Quran with. طيب. Umrah. Umrah,
Minor Hajj,
it's this lesser Hajj that we talk about. So right now, leave it as the minor Hajj. We'll get into some of the root words and understanding, inshallah, later on. طيب. Firaq,
Separation.
separation. Excellent. You read the Judai, didn't you?
Oh no.
Mard, marada,
Disease.
disease or sickness. Al-Shifa,
Cure.
cure. Excellent. Ad-Darara, Ad-Darar. Go ahead. Huh? To what? To kick? Al-Dharra, the smallest thing. Dharra, the lightest thing you can think of. Al-Dharra in the Arabic language denotes the lightest or the least thing you can say. Dharra, like you would say, dharratan min kibr, like the lightest of pride that a person has will keep them out of Jannah, right? So you can say an atom or a nucleus or whatever, like the slightest speck of something. Say it. Say it. Now, inshallah, you've got all these words. Anybody confused about the new list of words? It doesn't have the book. Inshallah, make a copy from somebody else's. You have the ayat on page number 17.
where can you
Inshallah.
get the book by any chance?
I think the books are all gone. But what you can do is the brothers that have the book, you can inshallah get and make copies of. So in every dars, inshallah, there will be a list of words that we're going to go over. So today we did a new list. Inshallah, I didn't skip anything. So on the next page, you have actual ayat of Quran. So what you're going to do is now you're going to look up the ayat of Quran that are on the next page. You're going to find the word we covered. You're going to find it in the ayah, and all of them are used here in ayat from the Quran itself, and you're going to write the meaning underneath it. And what that benefits you is that from the first day of this dars, you're going back to the Quran itself, and you're translating and you're understanding the meaning of the Quran itself. So we're not sitting here talking about هذا الباب وهذا المسجد وهذا like this, or أريد أن أشرب القهوة مع الحليب لا أفضل دون الحليب. You know, we're not talking about, you know, trying to have conversations or just trying to, you know, meet singles at an Arabic bar or something. We're talking about trying to understand the Quran and understand what the Imam is saying And now again, as a disclaimer, you always want to go back to the ulama and the ahlul ilm, but you do want to benefit from the Quran you're listening to, get the gist of what the ayat are talking about when you're reading the Quran, when you're listening to the Quran, when you're standing in salah. So inshallah, if you follow this method, this will give you that. So every day, every dars, when you memorize the new list of words, you will go back and actually look at ayat, down the meanings, and start to be able to translate yourself. Like I said in the last dars, those words that are here for sure, you have to write the meanings. And for the other words, you can just take a different colored pen and try to understand the meanings and try to put the words together. I don't want you just going to dictionaries, because I want you to get away from that. I want you to really try yourself to understand the ayat, so that inshallah by the end of this dars, or by the end of these durus, inshallah you won't need to be going to Al-Ma'ani or Mawrid or any of the Google Translates. You will be inshallah understanding the Quran your own self. And then if you get into an ayah where there's a matter of tafsir or a matter you don't understand, you always go back to Ahlul Ilm, Tulab Ilm, and benefit from the books of the Mufassirin, inshallah ta'ala. But when you're standing in salah, you're not going to be sitting there, making tarawih with Tabari and Ibn Kathir and Jalalain and Qurtubi with you. So you can be switching back and forth. You want to be benefiting from the Quran being read, inshallah ta'ala.
إلا تنصروه فقد نصره الله